What is up, Poke fans? Welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Matt, and this is not just a typical Pokemon video that I tend to make. Don't worry, I'm not quitting. I am through with the Portland Pokemon Regionals here in Oregon. The tagline that I've been using for a while, last 2 months, of using a team that we built from scratch to compete with the team that we may or not be using. Well, on the screen before you is the team that I took in to the Portland Regionals. And I will say this for sure, I had a blast. I had so much fun meeting players from all around the world. A lot of North Cal and South Cal players came up to the tournament, which you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for conversing with me and just kind of discussing team strategy and just being able to pick your brain. I got to see some of the commentators, but I wasn't able to get a photo of them. I wish I was able to, but I just didn't get to. The entire tournament, if you're not competing, is a very relaxing time, but if you're competing, it can be very, very stressful at times. Let's go ahead and get to the nitty gritty because I do not want to waste your guys' time and I have a lot to share. So let's go ahead and recount the steps of what happened for the tournament beginning Thursday. On Thursday, I did nothing but play the casual ladder. I wanted to test out my team and see what I could do for about 4 to 6 hours. I wanted to be able to fight people but not impact the online ranking, because the online ranking is where you and I play against level-headed players for top 1000 to get league points, or CP for Pokemon's terms. I didn't want to ruin the series, because if I came back and was like, oh guys, look, I'm 2-7, you might be wondering why I've changed. I'm currently 2-6, so don't worry. I think, no, I'm 2-7 because we had 9. Anyway, I didn't want to come back and have the rankings ruined. And because of that, I played on the casual. So I felt very, very confident, even battling against players that were also testing out their VGC teams that weren't able to be on the ranked ladder. And I fought against a Pokemon that I didn't really get to see a whole lot because they're event Pokemon. So it was really interesting to battle Inteleons, and I'm not really counting those. Friday, we had a time frame to come and grab our swag and register for the tournament and grab our bands. At that time, we turned it into like a little meet and greet for the rest of the players to come in and, you know, talk, converse. A lot of players were going to show up today, or the next day. So my buddy and I showed up around noon, because that's when the doors open to start registration. We showed up, we grabbed our swag, got our bands, which I posted a picture on Twitter and Instagram, so if you want to follow me there, you can. I'll put those in the link down below. We also got playmats, which has also been shared online if you guys want to see those. Out of the two, there was the Koraidon mat and a Giratina mat, and I picked Giratina because it looks so much better. We scoped out the area because it is the Oregon Convention Center, which is something that I don't really visit to quite often. And it was really, really odd that it was noon and nothing was open. Not outside the convention, everything outside the convention was opened, but nothing really inside the convention was really open. There were some other like events going on, but no restaurants on the inside were open. There was no way to get bottles of water from like stands or anything like that. It was really weird. I just couldn't find a vending machine anywhere, but they did have a lot of bathrooms and a lot of water stations to where you can fill up bottles of water and get drinks from the drinking fountain, which is okay, but it was lacking everything else. After scoping the area, my buddy and I decided to sit down and just have a battle before we adjourned for the day. We had already been there for an hour and a half, so we're like, all right, well, let's go do something else and we'll just play against each other. And then we started meeting some other players. So it was like, hey, do you mind if I join you? Like, yeah, come on over. Let's have some fun. And before you know it, we had a table of 8, maybe 9, battling each other, just play testing, discussing, and just having a good old time and picking each other's brains. And it was an amazing feeling because they were so open of sharing. Half of us were running Rotom in our teams for the hard counter for Palafins and Arcanites, which was great in my eyes. because I wasn't expecting him to ever show up in any type of tournament. But there was a lot of Pokemon that I wasn't expecting in the tournament either. And I'll get to that list near the end because it was very interesting to me. But as we were playtesting, we were there for another 2.5 hours, maybe 3, before we all decided to split up. The other group that joined us, half their group went in to do the playtesting tournament. It is a tournament of which you had to kind of pay money for. I'm not sure if you had to or not. Some people said it would like cost $10, but I wasn't there, so I can't really recount. In the tournament, it was a first come, first serve, and the majority of the players were TCG. There was very little VGC in there, and it was best out of 3, so 3 matches total. And it was kind of like a little mini tournament, but they only had this small room to house a lot of people trying to play test today. Friday, the tournament hall wasn't open. A previous event that was in that hall had ran late, and the team trying to get that room together and ready for us to come in, we're still working on the room. And because they were still working on the room, we didn't have a real way of play testing, so a lot of people just kind of walked in, grabbed their stuff, conversed a little bit, and then some people were looking for trades, and then others were just kind of walking out. The vendors that were working in the hall were not able to set up either. They had to wait till Saturday to set up their stalls and everything like that. Saturday rolls around. 9 a.m. entry. My buddy and I head over to the convention center and we start working the tables. And when I say working the tables, I'm not saying that we helped them set up. That would have been great for me because I do have experience in that category. But what I mean is that we got registered, we walked in, and we captured hundreds of people in that arena. Wow. I was officially in the room where they were recording and live streaming this on YouTube, something that I've been watching for over a year at this point. My friends and I have a Pokemon group on Discord where we constantly talk about TCG, VGC, sometimes about Go, but not really. None of us are really into the Go scene, but we do remember playing it when it first came out and having so much fun and imagining where it would be if we actually had tournaments that were affiliated for PvP battles. And we got that now, which is amazing. There were some Unite players that showed up for day 1 as well. I didn't see any Unite streams. They might have been in a completely different room, separate from everyone else, but they had posters, they had trophies, they had a lot of cool looking stuff in this arena. Besides the fact that everyone was still kind of up and down, there was a couple of problems that we had noticed while waiting for the pairings. While inside the exhibition hall, the Wi-Fi in the room was terrible. No one really could know what was happening inside unless you were inside listening to the announcers proclaiming, okay, when matches started, and you didn't know what was what until either they said it or the app updated. Now, the app that we were using is called RK9. RK9 is a tournament app that a lot of people just used. It's a very, very good app, but I don't know why it just didn't work inside the arena, but it worked outside. Inside the arena, depending on the table that you were called, we had a port. Now, this port was able to house your Switch, and they had rules that everyone had to get set up. We had to be in airplane mode, sign up online, and union circle with the person in front of us so that we're the only ones that they could battle. Perfect system, but when you docked your Switch into their docking system, if you pulled it out for whatever reason, you had to completely turn off your Switch, turn it back on, and you'd have a game loss. Not like a full game loss or a match loss, because we had to play 3 games, but you'd have a game loss so it went over to your opponent, and that's because the judges didn't want any funny business. We were also told that we can't have any wireless controllers. So you couldn't just undock your Switch controllers from the side and play at down here, like on your lap, and using both of those. They did not want that to happen. They wanted wired controllers or to see you touching the Switch controllers while still docked to the system. All fine and dandy. Now, I say depending on the table because the main VGC events, those docks were there. If you did not make it to day 2, there were premiere challenges and other mini events that you could do for Saturday and Sunday. But those other events didn't have these docking stations. decisions. So if you were a VGC player, got knocked out day one, and you went to do these other tournaments, you have to go off of your switch power. So if you didn't pack everything you needed to charge your switch right away, you were bound to lose, with unfortunate news that your switch is dead and that was your fault. Again, these tournaments do cost money, and you would think that they would have enough to be able to substantiate for that, especially if you're competing in day two, where half the player base, if not 2/3 of the player base, disappears after that point. Day one was interesting. I walked in with a great attitude and I left with a great attitude. Not because of the fact of how I did, but because of the fact that I got more information than I ever thought I would. And that to me is more than gold. There was a lot of times where my team fell flat, but not because of how I built them, it's because of my decisions. The team that you're seeing on the screen did really well. Fantastic. I had 3 people ask for rental codes so they could try out the team themselves. And that's amazing. My goal was to try to make it to day 2. My record in competing in my first regional tournament since, I don't know, X and Y, I went 3-6. Needless to say, I didn't make it to day 2, but I had a lot of people excited about my team. I had a lot of people asking about Rotom, which was a definite choice to deal with the rock matchups, because they took 0 damage from that. Garchomp was a big one. They loved Garchomp, which is really, really funny. I never thought that anyone would like him and how I built him, but he caught a lot of people off guard, and the fact that he was able to do that is great. A lot of people were caught off by Qianpo for having Ruination instead of Sucker Punch, but I gotta say, it's how I lost most of my matches. Ruination is good, and it's good for the Dodonzos, but I had nothing against Sucker Punch. Priority moves in general, I suffered from. There was no way that I can deal with it, which is a major weakness to my team. I said that in the team breakdown where I had listed my strong points and my weaknesses. My strategy is always to try to win within 4 turns. Tailwind is going to help me win in 4 turns. I do not want to give up attack if I can give up speed to outspeed everyone else, but as soon as Tailwind wore off, the game was over for me because I didn't use Tailwind effectively, and that's what I learned from this tournament. A lot of the times, Talonflame is knocked out within the first turn, and if he's not, I should immediately switch him out to someone else that will allow Garchomp to do his thing. I did run into a couple of Arcanines in the tournament, and even then, it wasn't really hurting me to the point to where I couldn't knock anyone out. But it also raised another question: what was I lacking when I came in with this team? A lot of people brought in Intimidators, which lowered my attack by 1, and I wasn't using Clear Amulet because I wanted to still use Life Orb, which, in my opinion, doesn't drop your attack very far if you use Life Orb. You can -1 a Garchomp, but he still has Life Orb, which increases his damage output by 30%. Is that enough to where I can't knock out a Pokemon? No, but it puts him back at maybe basic of just having no item, or maybe even a -2 puts him right back there. He was still hitting extremely hard and had to be dealt with appropriately. But I didn't run Clear Amulet because I didn't want to do that. I didn't run Terra Ground because I didn't want to have any type of affiliate weakness to Ice, because I knew that Qianpo might be in the tournament, Dragonite might be in the tournament, both were, and Iron Bundle. I did not want ×2 or ×4, especially if Iron Bundle is anywhere in the team, which is why I went Terra Fairy. Fairy on Garchomp is a good decision, especially when everyone uses Tinglu, Chi-Yu, and Qianpao. Wu Chen was the lost treasure of the tournament. I didn't run into any of them. I believe my buddy John has, but I might have been at the very end when he made it to day 2. While I went 3-6, my buddy went 7-2, and I want to say 3, maybe 4 of those matches went to time, and maybe even more. I know that he was really, really stressed because after the match he would go pee, but couldn't because of the fact that he was the last match that was playing and had to go right into another match immediately. It was really, really interesting. Now, another thing that I noticed too, out of all the Pokemon that I brought in, there was 2 that I hardly used, and that was my mistake. Those 2 were Rotom and Amoonguss. 2 Pokemon that are the best to have and use for these tournaments, and I didn't bring in either. I am so mad at myself. And that's why I don't blame the team for my ranking. I blame me for not strategizing correctly. My team did well. I did not. I didn't use Among Us to swap out to anything. I didn't bring in Rotom to make it so that I could continue using Earthquake with Garchomp when Garchomp wanted to do Garchomp things. I didn't do any of that. I didn't replace Dark Pulse with Terra Blast so he could have Terra Blast Steel, which took out like a lot of the Flutter mains or other Pokemon that would stand in his way. I had no way of dealing with offensive Pokemon, having like no one with Will-O-Wisp or anything like that. It was very infuriating at times that I didn't have an answer to maybe deal with their Pokemon when they were easily able to deal with mine. But at the same time, I was able to withstand a lot of different punches from a lot of different people. And that's where a lot of these Pokemon trainers asked me for my rental code. Out of 9 total matches, 3 of them grabbed it. Means a third of them thought my team was interesting enough to want to play it on the ladder themselves. They wanted to try it. They wanted to see it. They wanted to capture my build and go with it. And they wanted it. A third. To me, that means a lot. That means I captured something. They were intrigued and wanted to dissect everything that I did, and I am grateful for it. I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I got to play with amazing people, and I got to talk with some amazing people. And not only that, but I got to meet the people that I had been watching since Sword and Shield play, and I wanted to pick their brains. And some of them I did, and then some of them I wasn't able to find. I just wanted information because they were not out of my reach this time. And my buddy John was like, dude, they're celebrities. Like, no, man, they're a regular person, and I want to pick their brain, which is why I wanted to get a picture with Aaron. He was there commentating. I wanted to get a picture with Rosemary. She was there. She was commentating. I think Lou was also there commentating. I wasn't able to get a picture with any of them. The rounds that they went were long-ish, and the lunch that we were given after round 4 was so short. It was incredibly short. So we were given an hour after round 4, depending on when we ended our match. Everything in the convention center on Friday was closed. Everything in the convention center on Saturday was starting to open up around noon, maybe 1. I had enough time to maybe scarf down a sandwich and drink some Gatorade in 10 minutes before I had to go back in to compete for round 5. Some of these matches were long. Some of these matches did, just thinking back, that just puts me right, like, I'm so tired. I'm still tired, and the event was 2 days ago, and I had Sunday off because I didn't make it to day 2. But day 2 was even rough. While my friend JT went 7-2 in day 1, automatically qualified, he went 1-4 day 2 for the last 5 rounds of Swiss, which I didn't tell you. They might have said it online. So we had 9 rounds of Swiss in day 1 with 500 some odd players. And then day 2 had the top 44 players, I think. So 5 more rounds of Swiss to get the top 16 to do the rest of the tournament. My buddy placed 38 out of the 44, and that's because the guy that beat him earned 29. So he wasn't able to continue on to like top 16, but my buddy wasn't able to get an extra bout of CP. Now, granted, one of the matches, I should say not one, but 2 of the matches, we were late for day 2. We didn't know what the start time was. I thought it was 8. We were there early, but apparently it started at 7:30. And when I went to pick him up, it was around 7:30. So we were late for his first match, and so he got an automatic loss. That's not held against him. It still feels like bad, man, just because of the fact that neither one of us wanted him to be late. But 2 matches later, his opponent dropped out and didn't show up for one of his matches, which means like he got a win because they dropped out. Still a good time all the way around. When he got knocked out, we immediately like took off and decided to just go rest and not have to work or do anything. When I got home, I tried to play Pokemon, and I was like, no, I can't. I just want to chill for a minute. And during the time that he was competing, I didn't do the extra events because I wanted to just write down everything that I learned and start compiling, like, okay, how did I lose here? 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 And a lot of it was because of the fact that I wasn't switching between these 2 Pokemon in and out, and I didn't bring them in because I relied on the core 4, and the core 4, while it's strong, is not good enough to carry the rest of the team. The team is a 6 Pokemon effort, not 4. I even ran into a mirror and barely lost to the mirror match because of the fact that I had Pokemon that would have worked so much better, but I didn't have them because the mirror was the mirror. It was weird. Regardless though, I had a lot of fun. I had a really good time, and I'm reflecting on everything that I've learned to maybe make my team just a little bit better in the ladder. I should have realized that as soon as I ended season 5 in such a losing streak, that there was a deeper problem with my team, and there is. I have no Will-O-Wisp to lower down anyone's attack. I didn't use Spore as often as I should have, and that's a core strategy to a lot of different games. Amoonguss is on the field for a reason, and while he may not be out there first, he should be at least considered in the team a lot more than what I have been using him for. Like Chien-Pao is good. Fluttermane is good, but the first Pokemon that should ever be picked besides Talonflame is maybe someone like Amoonguss to literally slow down my opponent considerably. He can also stand right next to Garchomp and go, hey, I'll take your Earthquakes for no reason. Swap him out and he'll gain all that HP back as I swap into like Rotom or even Talonflame right after that. It's amazing, but I didn't even think of it. Not one thought. I have a Taunter, which is great, but the one thing that always caught me off guard was I didn't have chip damage. Will-O-Wisp, Sandstream, both of those are amazing. Poison, also amazing. Those broke Focus Sashes. Those broke multi-scale. Part of my loss, or a lot of my losses actually, was because of priority moves and sash moves. To defeat Chien-Pao, you had to hit him twice. It's not very hard when everything almost knocks him out in the first place. So once that happened, he was sitting duck. I couldn't do anything about it. Multi-scale, same thing. As soon as you hit him once, it's a cakewalk, but you have to hit him once. You have to do at least a little bit of damage one time for it to work. And because he wasn't damaged at all, he took games. It's really, really hard to fight against Pokemon like Chien-Pao and Dragonite when they're right next to each other. When he lowers down special defenses by 25%, and then he comes in Terra Normal with a Choice Band and goes like punches you right in the face for 306 attack with your minus 25 defense. That's like having Screech casted on you, and you sit there with like nothing. You can't do anything. It's weird, but it's a good type of weird. I learned a lot in the tournament, and I learned how to make my team function a little bit more. So while there may not be a battle for today, I wanted to at least throw out there what I've learned, and I'm hoping that when I come back, we'll have a lot better of a time of playing. And there might still be a video today. I still have a couple more errands I need to finish, but I wanted to create this video because I don't know how long it's going to be, and just to kind of give you guys a rundown of what I've experienced and what I had to deal with. It was so cool though. So awesome. Now, the thing you might have been waiting for, Pokemon that I saw during my time at the regional in Portland. Yay stuff. So, out of day 1, this is the list of Pokemon that I had seen in my 9 rounds. I had seen Dragonite twice, Glomora once, Iron Bundle twice, Tatsugiri and Dodonzo once, Chien-Pao I had seen 4 times, Amoonguss I've seen twice, Dragapult I've seen twice, Bronzong, who usually isn't in anyone's team, was there and made an appearance 1 time. Arcanine made an appearance twice. Iron Hands and Palafin both made an appearance only 1 time, which is really, really strange because they're the best the best core. Amoonguss, Arcanine, Palafin, the best core, and yet I only saw 1 copy of each. Tinglu I saw twice. Fluttermane I saw 3 times. Corviknight also made a guest appearance, but only 1 time. Chi-Yu twice. Murkrow once. Great Tusk, ditto. Garchomp, Talonflame, Serena, Armarouge, Ceruledge, Golden Go, Toxapex, Darnsparce, Breloom, Heracross, Screamtail, Tiktok, Gyarados, Roymoon, and Scizor. All those Pokemon that I just listed, 1 time. That was a long list, but it was long enough to see a wide assortment of teams, of Pokemon, and some of those flat out beat me. Some of those I flat out wrecked. most of the time, I had a great time with my opponent. We chatted before splitting off to our respective tables and just kind of gauged what everyone was doing. A lot of people there this weekend was their first time, and I'm hoping that it doesn't discourage them to continue learning and to continue battling. A lot of the people, there's a guy that we met on Friday. His name is Tyler. This guy played 700 plus matches on Showdown and then around 1 to 200 games in the ranked ladder for his team to do well in this tournament. He'd made it 6-3. He wasn't able to go through, but he won most of his matches. My buddy John last season went 95 out of 90. So out of almost 200 games, he was in like the winning percentage. And then here my scrubbing looking face comes in here with, 22-40 with a mostly lost record. That's no. It's not a good winning or losing record. And that's how it reflected here in this tournament too. So going forward, while we may not be preparing to do another tournament, this one was really costly and this was local. Like, I think I spent $200 overall on a local tournament. I can only imagine what it would be like to go outside of the state. There are a few regional tournaments that I would love to go to, especially one in California. That way I can run against them once more, but in their own home turf. But I'm not able to afford it, so my buddy and I are planning for 2024. And when we plan for 2024, we're looking to compete in a couple of tournaments. I'm hoping to do 2 regionals and then compete in the North America International Championship. That's the plan. I don't know if we'll make it, but that's the plan. So that's it. That's all that I've got. I wish I could give you guys their move sets. I didn't record all of their moves. Some of them were all over the place. I recorded what their Terras were, but I mean, everyone changes Terras all the time to see what works. Like T-Tar had a flying Terra, which was amazing. I walked in with freaking Fairy, man. Garchomp's main Terra is like fire or ground, and I walked in with Fairy to specifically counter the Qian Paos, the Wu Chans, the Ting Lus, and I was still ground to counter the Chi Yus. Garchomp to me has a lot of answers. Well, you know who's faster than Garchomp? Dragapult, by far, and he's faster than all the other runic Pokemon by far without Tailwind, and you can even calc him correctly to be faster than a Quark-derived Iron Bundle, so he will automatically get the KO every single time if you do it correctly. It's so funny. It's hilarious. But do you know who's stronger than Garchomp? Dragonite, Terra Normal Multi-Scale. The Choice Band gives him 306 attack. It's really strong for no other reason besides the fact that it's multi-scale stopping him from getting one-shotted immediately, and you almost one-shot someone immediately, especially if he's teamed up with Pokemon like Qian Pao, or put up a prankster that knows how to do like Screech. I know I do Metal Sound, but that's special defense. I need physical defense, but imagine if that was a thing. Heck, team up with T-Tar. T-Tar could do it. Moral of the story, guys, calc for chip damage or bring someone in on your team that will. T-Tar with weather, or just anyone that can set weather for you. Will-O-Wisp, Poison, Toxic was a really good one to have because it puts everyone on a timer at that point. Priority moves are something that everyone should consider. I saw Indeedee a couple of times in the tournament, like on the big screen, which was really, really cool. So calc for those. Maybe put them in the team yourself to try to give you a better advantage. And at the end of the day, just have fun. That's all that anyone can ask for. But that's all I've got for you. So I want to thank you guys for watching as long as you have. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you don't. And until next time, I'll see you later. Peace.